This is my audience. Okay. Have any of you thought about how little women's sports has been shown on TV?
Yes.
Okay. So today I'll be talking to you all about how women's sports don't get shown enough on ESPN and other big time networks like that. So ever since I was little, I've been playing sports ever since I was 3 years old, and I feel like never really seeing enough of like women's like softball or women's basketball, women's volleyball or anything like that on TV. And I think that it really just shows like how little like it has been such an important cause in people's lives. And I feel like while growing up, like I always wanted to watch softball or anything like that and never saw it on TV. And my dad would always have to like look up like what network it would be on. So as women's sports have grown over the years, it has gotten a little bit more attention than what it used to have, which is great, but it also needs more attention than what it has right now. So ever since I started playing volleyball, I've always wanted to watch it. I've had friends that have gone into D1 and played at like Nebraska or Ohio State and stuff like that, and I always wanted to watch them, but I can never like really find it as much as what I can now. So I remember my senior year of volleyball, we had our volleyball coach text us in our group chat saying how they really didn't like see like very much of like women's volleyball on TV until my senior year of volleyball, and she texted us in our group chat and told us that we needed to watch, like we needed to tune into ESPN because it was on like the main ESPN network at that time, and she told us that we needed to watch it because women's sports haven't really gotten that much of attention ever since like 4 or 5 years ago. So now I'm going to be talking to you guys about why it's important for women's sports to be shown on TV more, how women's sports are overlooked because of men's sports, and if more people supported the cause, maybe that we would be able to fix it. So for starters, I found this over why women's sports doesn't get shown as much as men's sports. That this was my first article that I found, and I think that it just shows that like it's not just like girls in like sports that think that it's not shown enough. It's all around the world where people just don't think that we get enough like credibility for what we do. So now I'm going to be talking to you guys about why women's sports are overlooked because of men's sports. So with like, for example, like the Indiana men's and women's basketball teams that we have, the men's team, everyone knows them. Every Twitter post is about them. Every Facebook post, anything like that. It's always about the men's team, even if they lose that game. So, for example, the women's team is currently ranked second in the nation, and they've gotten a little bit more noticeability and publicity, like with them being ranked second for like the first time in however many years, and they actually just won the Big Ten championship, which is really huge for women, and especially in Indiana, you don't really see women like winning that many of big trophies and stuff like that. And some people don't even know that they won the Big Ten championship, which is honestly sad. So with the men's team, they get the publicity, they get everything, they get pretty much like a drastic change. They get more money, anything that what the women's team does, and even it comes down to even like their locker rooms and stuff like that. Like the men's locker room is absolutely amazing compared to the women's. So now I'm going to be talking to you guys about why if more people supported the cause, then maybe we would be able to fix the problem. So with that problem, changing everything, like it really just doesn't make, it's not fair to women in their sport. And since they work just as hard as what the men do, I think that they should be able to get more credibility for what they do and just showing like how like amazing that these female athletes actually are, and like giving them more like support in that area as well. And then I found this other article. It says most TV completely ignores women's sports, and this has also been over a 30-year study. So this just shows that it hasn't been just the most recent years. It's been over a whole large span of time to why women's sports don't get nearly enough attention as what men's sports do. So like for example, when I was in high school, my freshman year, our baseball team got a brand new field. It was called Veterans Field, and they had every single like United States Army, Navy, Marine Corps, and all that. They had the flags in the center field behind the wall. And then it just shows like they got like so much different like and nice things. They got better dirt than what we had at the girls' diamond. And they also got brand new lights that would just come on automatically as soon as it went dark. And with the women's field that we had, there was huge potholes in the outfield, and like just the dirt was terrible. You couldn't really rake it professionally, like good enough, and you'd have to like use a sponge to get the water off of the field. And then the gravel, we just put gravel over it. So, and then with like volleyball and football, our football program is known. They have the most money, like from the boosters and everything, out of every other sport that we have. And our boys basketball team, they just got a brand new locker room a couple of years ago. I think it was my sophomore year of high school, and the girls didn't get anything. The boys team, they had a couch, like they had a PlayStation and a TV in there as well, and I just didn't think that it wasn't fair to us as what it was to the boys. So now for my conclusion, I've told you the purpose of me talking to you all about how important it is for women's sports to be more recognized, and just showing that like we can make a change if we really all put our minds to it, and like posting like on social media and Twitter and stuff like this, and just like big platforms that we can all post on, just like to really show the importance of women's sports, I think would be something that we could potentially change. So now that I've talked to you guys about why it's important for women's sports to be on TV more often, for how women's sports are overlooked compared to the men's sports in Indiana and all over the country, and if more people supported it, then maybe we would get more publicity and stuff like that. So all these things tie into the women's sports being shown on TV more if we all just come together and like group everyone together and just, yeah. So since I've talked to you all about the things that go into women's sports and being showed, and that how like we should be treated equally, I hope that you enjoyed my speech. And then here's my audience.